Among the multitudinous feasts and solemnities commemorated by the Holy Catholic Church is a more recent observance that pays tribute to the noble virtue of human labor, the Feast of St. Joseph the Worker, annually celebrated on the 1st of May. This memorial, instituted in 1955 by the Venerable Pope Pius XII, elevates the humble carpenter of Nazareth as the preeminent model of heavenly protector for all Christian workmen and tillers of the soil. From time immemorial, the Church has esteemed the state of virginal marriage and family life espoused by the holy patrons Jesus, Mary, and Joseph as the blessed condition for most of the faithful. It was by divine providence that the incarnate Son of God was born into this sacred domestic trinity, sanctifying all family life from within. Yet the Gospels make clear that Joseph, the worker, sanctified his labor as well, toiling with his carpenter's tools to provide for the family, just as Adam was commanded to work the soil of Eden. Sacred Scripture sheds little light on the details of St. Joseph's life and occupation, speaking only of his just and upright character as a descendant of the royal house of David. Pious tradition, however, has enshrined him with countless titles reflecting his vocation: the carpenter, the worker, the foster father, the artisan, and the laborer. From the earliest iterations of the saint's iconic portrayal in sacred art and literature, the faithful have esteemed his humble labors, holding the saw or plane, as a symbolic of the dignity of all noble toil. In his wisdom, the Lord appointed Joseph as the virginal spouse of his most blessed mother and head of the Holy Family, charging him with the grave duty of caring and providing for the Christ child through his life's labor. How august was the workbench where the carpenter of Nazareth applied his skills as the young Jesus grew in age and wisdom. The simple tools Joseph employed to fashion beams and shelters molded the wood that would eventually uphold the saving gibbet of the cross. His were the labors anticipating the incomparable priestly work of redemption. Echoing the words of the apostle, "If any man will not work, neither let him eat," the Church has always maintained that labor is a sacred duty and an ennoblement of our human nature, not just the punitive effect of original sin. It was Adam's transgression that made toil difficult and arduous, yet even in paradise, man was charged as a worker to cultivate and care for the primordial guardian. The Son of God himself sanctified all labor, choosing to spend the greater portion of his human life performing the toilsome tasks and chores of a day laborer. In the divine economy, the laborers of the carpenter mirrored the salvific work of the cross itself, where through perseverance, patience, skill, and adherence to his Father's will, all creation was restored to its Maker. In this light, the tools and workbench of St. Joseph shine as august emblems of humanity, cooperating in the divine plan of redemption through humble self-sacrifice and obedient trust. In the face of materialist ideologies that deprecated the spiritual dignity of human work, the Supreme Pastor lifted up the silent workman Joseph as the illustrious model for all laborers, whether tilling fields, operating machinery, or offering the work of their hands and intellectual toils. The Church extolled anew the ancient truth that it is the spiritual fruit born through labor, from a carpenter's apprenticeship to motherly duties around the home, that constitutes the privileged share and cooperation in the redemptive works of the carpenter of Nazareth. On this annual feast, the faithful workmen and working women of the world are beckoned to unite their personal fatigues, troubles, and satisfactions to the celestial merits of St. Joseph, who sanctified all noble labor through his privileged title as foster father of the Lord. Let this feast of St. Joseph the Worker resound as an annual summons for all of the faithful to embrace the spiritual dignity of our labors and toil with unflagging devotion.